My name is Kat Palmer. I am a photographer and art activist, and I have been doing this for over 25 years, professionally for probably about 16, 17 years now. My photography really took a turn in 2006 when George W. Bush was in office, and my logo now is probably my favorite image, and I shot that of a little boy who was about 4 or 5 at the time. He's half Albanian, and that I call him my airplane boy. He's most recognized my logo. I should have had an image of him back here somewhere to show you, but that piece was titled Peace to the Middle East, Peace to Islam, and it was a more controversial subject at the time. I'm a former Republican, and like I said, George W. Bush was in office, and that is kind of when everything shifted for me as an artist, and I stopped just taking pictures for the sake of pretty pictures, and I started focusing more on images and art with a political message. So with Utah, I feel like Utah is really good at sweeping things under the rug and let's not talk about things, especially anything important and anything that's kind of hard to talk about, right? I think Utah's really good at that. And I think with prevention, that's a huge part of education. And I don't think that a lot of Utah realizes that. Like, if we want to prevent things from happening, we talk about it. And education's a huge component of that. And I think when we're talking, not just about pregnancy, but I think we're talking about sexual assaults and molestation, and when we don't want to be touched, because I think it's so important with children and with teenagers with body autonomy, that they know that their body is theirs. And that is a really important Even more thing. Important in a place like Utah, where abstinence is being taught in so many places, and where rape culture is the culture here. And I think it's even more important for comprehensive sex education, where that is being taught. And a couple of years ago, oh gosh, I want to say it's been 3 or 4 years now, time eludes me, but I tackled a project because rape culture is so prevalent here, and where girls are taught that they need to cover up so that you're not a distraction to the boys, right? And it's a culture that I also grew up in, but I was so thankful that my grandparents never taught that to me, that I was allowed to show my shoulders if I wanted, right? And I moved here, and that was the culture here, and I was shocked by it. And it wasn't okay. And here I'm finding out that boys are allowed to go to school and show their shoulders, but girls aren't. What? Blew my mind. And so I put together this art project where kids showed up in things that they had been shamed for and sent home in. And we photographed that, and the news covered it. And my friend Kim with Channel 4 came out, covered it. And she pushed back really hard on these schools and followed up with them. And we were able to change some dress codes here in Utah, because that is what rape culture is. And it's not okay. It's not okay to tell these girls that they're a distraction. Not okay. Not okay to tell these boys that they have to watch their thoughts, and that these girls have to be in control of that. Not okay. And so we need to change rape culture to consent culture. Oh, I also help organize Slut Walk, the Walk of No Shame. These girls should be allowed to show their shoulders at school. That's not a thing. It shouldn't be a thing. And we need to start changing these dress codes. We should be teaching consent in schools, period. And if parents want to be up in arms about it, because I've heard all the arguments, I sat in all the committee meetings for HB 177, which, let's talk about that. Carol Spackman Moss presented a brilliant bill, by the way. And she has been heading this up, and where we're going to have in 7th grade and 11th grade, where this is being taught. So before puberty is really hitting, and then again before kids are graduating high school. I think it's brilliant. Consent also doesn't have to mean sex. Some kids aren't going to have sex. That's okay. Consent can mean all sorts of things, but body autonomy is so important. And if people really want to protect children, this is one way to do it. And it just blows my mind when Utah talks about family values and how important kids are, but this isn't being taught. This needs to be taught. My kids' consent has been a part of our family life since they were toddlers. This is something you can be being taught on the playground. Body autonomy, not forcing your kids to hug people that they don't want to hug. Letting them know that they have control over their own body is so important. We need to protect our children, and that's one of the ways we do it. I really commend Carol Spackman Moss for this bill. And even Representative Waldrop, who is a Republican, commended her and was moved by the testimony and said just really great things in that committee meeting, and talking about how we have to do better, how we have to be more explicit, and how we're not bringing Planned Parenthood or the Pride Center in to teach our children, and how important this bill was. And I feel like he got it. He understood it. And I was so thankful for that and for him speaking up for this bill. I'm hoping that Utah will get the education they deserve, because consent being taught in the classrooms is part of this. And parents that don't want it, good, opt out. Don't teach your children about consent. That's fine. But I think Utah deserves it. Thank you.